Back. We're going to finish up Unit 13, Lesson 3. Today, Unit 13, Lesson 3 is all about solving multi-step inequalities. We did 1 and 2 step inequalities. Today we're going to go multi-step, which could be 2, 3, 4, a lot of them there, and see how that all works. Hopefully you are being successful in the previous lessons. Let's make sure we keep focusing on our learning target. Learning target today, success criteria, if I can independently solve multi-step inequalities. Let's get going. Today, remember, if you can do these type of problems here, you can do these type of problems here. Only difference, over here we have an equal sign, over here we have an inequality symbol. Hey, let's try the first ones, things that we've done in the past. We have 3 times the quantity x plus 5 equals 45. Remember, what is the property where we distribute this 3 to both the x and the 5? Well, that's called the distributive property. That's why we distribute it. Okay, so if I distribute this 3 to the x, I get 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times 5, a positive 5, which is positive 15. And that equals 45. Now we just go through and solve it the same way we always have in the past. We subtract 15 to both sides, and we get 3x equals 30. Then we got to do our last step of getting rid of this 3, so we divide by 3. X equals 10. Okay? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you can do that, you can do this. Okay? Same thing, distribute the 3 to both the x and the 5. So we get 3 times x plus 3 times positive 5, which is 15, is greater than 45. The same thing we did in the past. All we do is we subtract 15, and we get 3x is greater than 30. And then our last step of dividing by 3 to both sides, and we get that x is greater than 30. Okay? Oh, sorry, x is greater than 10, not 30. I forgot to divide that one there. X is greater than 10. So same thing we did over here. In this problem, we do over here, except now we have an inequality symbol. So let's keep practicing. I'm going to change my little thickness here to make it a little bit easier to read. I'm going to take up a little bit less space. Okay, we distribute this 5 to the n and the 5 to the negative 2. So we get 5n, 5 times n. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, which is less than or equal to negative 30. Okay, well, what was our first step we got to do? We got to get rid of this negative 10. So we add 10 to both sides. And we get our little railroad down there. We get 5n is less than or equal to negative 30 plus 10 is negative 20. Got to get rid of this 5, so we divide by 5 to both sides. And we get that n is less than or equal to negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And you're done. Pretty simple. Let's ramp it up a little bit here. Let's work with fractions. Okay, when we work with fractions, we do the same thing though with distribution. We distribute this 2/3 to the n and the 6. Okay, so 2/3 times n is pretty simple. That's 2/3 n. Positive plus a positive times a positive is going to be a positive. What's 2/3 of 6? Well, if you don't remember how to do this, let's kind of show it over here. I'm going to use my eraser here to get rid of some of this work up here really quick, just so we have a little bit more space. And go back to our pens here. Good. Okay, well, let's show you how to do 2/3 times 6 over 1. If we multiply 2/3 times 6 over 1, we can reduce beforehand. These cancel out. Make that a 1, make that a 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 2/3 of 6 is just 4, which is greater than 10. Then we solve. Subtract 4 from both sides. We get 2/3 n is greater than 10 minus 4 is 6. Well, this is multiplication, 2/3 times n. So to get rid of 2/3 times n, we have to divide by 2/3 to both sides. So I'm going to divide 6 by 2/3. If you don't remember how to do that, let's show that as well. 6 over 1 divided by 2/3 means I have to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal means I need to flip this fraction. So instead of 2/3, we're going to get 3 over 2. And again, we can reduce before multiplication. It's going to become a 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So we're going to get, these cancel out here. We're going to be left over, let me change colors here to show you. These canceled out, so we're left with n is greater than 6 divided by 2/3 we said was 3 times 3, which is 9. And that's it. That's just that easy. You are great at doing difficult things. Nice job. Try another one. This one looks a little funky because of 10 plus a over 2. That means 10 plus a divided by 2 is less than 2. Let's check that out. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this 2 in the denominator. We said it was just dividing by 2. So what I want to do is actually multiply both sides by 2. When I do that, that cancels with that, and I'm left with 10 plus a is less than 2 times 2, which is 4. You're so smart for knowing that. And then we just have a pretty simple one-step move here. We got to get rid of this positive 10 by subtracting 10 to both sides. And then we are left with, these cancel. A is less than 4 minus 10 is negative 6. Pretty good. Let's check it. Let's pick a number for A. Okay, let's pick a number that's less than negative 6. Let's pick negative 8. Let's say A equals negative 8 and see if it makes this original inequality true. Okay, so we're going to substitute negative 8 in for A. 10 plus negative 8 over 2 is less than 2. Well, what's 10 plus negative 8? It's 10 minus 8, which is 2 over 2 is less than 2. 2 over 2 is just 1. Is 1 less than 2? Why, yes, it is. So that must mean that this worked out in our inequality right here. A is less than negative 6. Nice job. Try one more. Couple steps here. We have two different variables, not different variables. We have two terms with variables in them. They're the same variable of w. We have to combine those first. So 4 stays the same. Okay. Negative 2 plus 4. Negative 2w plus 4w is positive 2w, which is greater than or equal to 12. And then we got a couple steps here. You can get rid of this positive 4 by subtracting 4 to both sides. We're left with 2w is greater than or equal to 12 minus 4 is, what's 12 minus 4? 12 minus 4 is, oh, you're so good, it's 8. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's an even number, makes this nice and easy. We're going to divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we cancel them out. W is greater than or equal to 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And that's it. You're all done. Nice job. Let's try this one here. So really those things on both sides. Previously, we've had one number on one side. Now we've got two terms on both sides, or more than two terms over here. Let's try this out. Let's use distribution to distribute this negative 2 to both terms. Negative 2 times 6x is negative 12x. Negative 2 times 11. What's negative 2 times 11? That's negative 22, which is greater than negative 10x plus 21. All right, let's get our variables together and our constants together. All right, let's move our smaller number to our bigger number. Okay, so I'm gonna get a different color here just kind of so we can see some steps here. Negative 12, opposite of negative 12 is positive 12x to both sides. And I'm actually going to do 2 steps in one here. So I'm going to move the negative 12 over here by adding it. I'm going to move my positive 21 to the other side by subtracting it. Sorry about that. By subtracting it. And there's a nice line right here for me already. Let's pull this down. I'm going to go back to black. Negative 12 minus 12, 0, cancels out. Negative 22 minus 21, well, 2 plus 1 is 3, 2 plus 2 is 4, and that's a negative. And we're going small and getting smaller. A negative minus a negative, or a negative plus a negative, is going to be a smaller number, which is greater than, and negative 10x plus 12x is going to be 2x. Right? All right, let's go through our next one. Well, this isn't the greatest because this is an odd number and this is an even number. So we have to divide by 2. And we get negative 43 over 2 is greater than x. And you're done. And we're just going to leave this as a fraction, as a improper fraction, just because it's just easier that way. So let's leave it just like that. Awesome job. Let's try our next page here. A couple more to go. X over 2 is minus 5 is less than negative 8. Well, let's get rid of that positive, or that negative 5 first. We get x over 2 is less than negative 8 plus 5. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. Okay, get rid of this 2. This is x divided by 2. So instead of dividing, we have to do the opposite, which is multiplication. Cancel, cancel. We're left with x is less than negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Same principle here. 2 plus p divided by 9 is less than negative 2. Let's get rid of this 9 first. Opposite of division is multiplication. We're going to multiply both sides by 9. 9 and 9 cancel. We're left with 2 plus p is less than negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. Good job. I knew you knew that. Trying to get the variable by itself. Got to get rid of this positive 2, so we subtract 2 to both sides. And we're left with, cancel, cancel. P is less than negative 18 minus 2, negative 20. Again, if I'm going too fast for you, feel free to pause, rewind, go back, see it again. Keep going. Negative 14 less than 2 times the quantity 5 minus 3x. Again, what was this property called? When we distribute a number to the numbers inside the parentheses. Distributive property. Negative 14 is less than 2 times 5, which is 10. 2 times negative 3x is a negative 6x. Let's get rid of this positive 10. Going to subtract 10 to both sides. Negative 14 minus 10 is negative 24, which is less than negative 6x. Notice, we have a negative here. We haven't done any of these today on this lesson. However, we did this in the last lesson. This negative, we're going to divide by negative 6 to both sides. Okay, negative 24 divided by negative 6, pretty simple. That's just 4. However, when we divide or multiply by a negative in inequalities, we need to change our sign. So instead of less than, we're going to flip it around and make it greater than. And remember, dividing by a negative, we have to change our sign. These cancel out and we're left with x. So 4 is greater than x. And you're done. If you wanted to flip it and make it with the variable on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side, you could do x is less than 4, which is also an acceptable answer. And that's actually the way that I would prefer you to write it. Okay, let's try again. Negative 14 minus 2 times the quantity 5 minus 3x. Well, we did that already. What? Don't forget, when we get to this point, I just wanted you to reiterate that we're going to divide by a negative. Let's try one thing here. So if you notice, we have 2 times the quantity 5 minus 3x. If this number on the opposite side is an even number and you have a 2, divide the whole thing by 2. You don't have to do distribution. 2 divided by 2 cancels out. Negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7, which is less than, and then we have left 5 minus 3x. We subtract 5 from both sides. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12, is less than negative 3x. Then we divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. And again, we divided by a negative, so we got to change our sign. Greater than x. Look at that. Same answer. Same answer. Negative 4 or positive 4 is greater than x. Don't forget, you can do that. Just get to be aware of when these numbers that are using on the outside of the quantity divide evenly into the opposite side. Let's try some more. Okay, let's get rid of this 9. We're divided by 9, so we have to multiply by 9 to both sides. Cancel, cancel. Left with x minus 4 is greater than 1 times 9 is 9. Going to get rid of this negative 4. So we get x, cancel, cancel, greater than 9 plus 4, which is 13. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Now you can do that. Let's do this here. 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is negative 2 plus 4, positive 2w, greater than, equal to 12. Let's get rid of this positive 4, subtract 4. 2w greater than or equal to 12 minus 4 is 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Cancel, cancel. W is greater than or equal to 8 divided by 2 is 4. You're doing so awesome. I know it's kind of getting boring because you're doing so good. I know we did that one on the previous page, but it's always good to see some things twice. X divided by 16 minus 6 is less than or equal to negative 5. All right. I can't multiply by 16 first because it's not over this whole thing. If it was x minus 6 divided by 16, then yeah, you could divide by or multiply by 16 first. However, we cannot do that because it's not through all of the terms. So because of that, we have to instead add 6 to both sides first. And we get x over 16, these canceled out, less than or equal to negative 5 plus 6 is 1. Okay, I'm going to go up here really quick and rewrite that. X divided by 16 is less than or equal to 1. Get rid of the 16. Now we can multiply by 16 on both sides. Cancel, cancel. x less than or equal to 1 times 16 is 16. And that's it. Remember, if you can do our first problem here with the equal sign, you can do all of these with the inequality symbol. Only hiccup is to remember that when you get to problems with negatives and dividing by and multiplying by negatives to both sides, you got to change your sign. We went from less than to greater than. Okay. Comment down below if you have any questions. See you online. Hope you're having a great day. Let me know what you think. Awesome job today. Thank you.